Welcome everyone to my Medicom Mafex review of Superman, the Zack Snyder's Justice League version. And for me personally, one of the most anticipated releases of the year. Ever since that movie came out almost 2 years ago now, I was looking forward to them having a Superman in that iconic resurrection suit. Of course, it was more popular in the comics in Return of Superman, but Snyder managed to put it in his final cut. And we know that McFarlane Toys gave us a version. Mezco 112 also made their announcement, although it's not released yet. And Medicom Mafex, who made the whole Justice League team before, were always going to give us another Superman. Because I assume it will be very straightforward, kind of like a repaint, and maybe some changes here and there. So we're going to find out in this review and whether it's going to be worth picking this one up if you already have the original. So looking at the packaging, I think it's a very clever way of marketing it. As you can see, there is no color. It is just black and white. And of course, the Zack Snyder's Justice League promotion poster was just in black and white. And you can also watch the movie known as the grey version. So looking at the box, you have the usual logos. You can see Zack Snyder's Justice League here, DC. In the original box in Mafex, I believe they had all the team members' logos. They've of course removed it here, keeping it very simple. And then on the side, we have a shot of Superman with the Justice League logo. And then the other side as well, you can see that all of it is in black and white. And then at the top, we have a shot of the actor, Henry Cavill, Superman. So this is what they did in the previous boxes as well. And then at the bottom, kind of your usual Medicom Mafex. And then for the back, they've in fact made it color. So you can see the figure in different poses. So let's get this figure out of its packaging and take a closer look. Piece of paper just to certify that it's a genuine product, and then we have a background of the mother box, and here is the Superman figure inside its packaging. So before we take a look at the figure itself, this is all the accessories out of its packaging. So we do have a stand, which is very standard for the Medicom Mafex figures, and for the accessories they've kept it nice and simple with 3 alternative head sculpts and 2 sets of interchangeable hands. So here is the Superman figure out of its packaging. Without looking into too much detail, my first impressions, this is going to fit right into your Medicom Mafex collection. So if you have the other members and even the original Superman, I think this one goes right into that look. And of course we do have the accurate representation of the Superman from that movie with the build, the sculpt, the colors are now correct. And this is always going to be one that I expected them to do well, because we already got the original Justice League Superman and that figure was already a good one. So this is kind of just like a remold, which Medicom probably found it very straightforward to do. And looking at the face sculpt, which is probably the more important thing in this figure, I would say they've also improved on it. It's slightly different to the one we saw before in the original colors, and this one looks even better. I think the original one was okay, some kind of differences in terms of the tone of the skin, but this one seems a bit more realistic, and yeah, I am impressed by this first look. So even the rest of the paint, you can see that it's very nice, all black, and then we have the silver chest emblem, and it's painted really well here. And I think the cape as well, it's kind of similar to what we've seen before in Medicom Mafex. So it has a band that goes all the way around. And yeah, I am impressed by the first look. So you can see it feels very premium. And I really like the first look of this Superman. So I think in terms of the differences, I'm going to have to put them side by side. But as a standalone Superman, I would say, yeah, this is a nice one to add into your collection right away. And I don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you have the other members. So yeah, let's take a look at the articulation next, and then we'll move on to the accessories. So let's test out the articulation of this figure. So starting off with the head sculpt. So standard, I'm sure, with rotation left and right, and it can go all the way around if you want. And it can tilt side to side as well, downwards, upwards quite a lot, which is important for flight poses. And then for the arms, of course it's both the same, side to side, and then forwards, backwards, It does feel kind of loose right out of its box, so just be very careful because I know Mafex have had QC issues in the past. But you can rotate the arms. There is a bicep swivel, and then there's a arm bend, of course. And then for the hands, there's rotation, and I'm pretty sure some sort of hinge. And then for the body, top half first. It's not stiff at all, pretty smooth, but just make sure you don't do it too much because it can loosen the joints. Side to side, and then forwards and upwards. And then for the stomach, you can move it forwards and backwards slightly. It does create some sort of gap, but you can't really see it. It's not that visible with the black colors. And then for the legs, so it stretches that much, forwards, backwards. You can see the legs are slightly more stiff, but there's rotation on the leg. I'm doing it very careful because I know that if I loosen it too much, it could break. So knee bend, rotation on the foot, toe hinge, it's all available. So if you want Superman in his iconic poses, whether he's kneeling down, like when he's about to fly up, I'm pretty sure you can get it in the right pose. And then when he's flying as well, always nice to have Superman in some dynamic flight poses, which of course Medicom should have all the articulation for that. So yeah, apart from maybe some slight loose arms for me, I think articulation wise it's pretty standard and I'm satisfied with it. So now we're going to take a look at the alternative accessories, starting off with the head sculpt. So this is the one right out of its packaging, and for me already it's an improvement to the original Justice League version. I think everything from the sculpt, the paint, the skin tone, just everything, I feel it's slightly better than the original. Don't get me wrong, I did like the Justice League one, but this one kind of just seems a bit better. So it is just a standard look, and then we're going to take it off. And I'm going to place the second head sculpt on, which I call the angry face. And this is a good representation when Superman is about to give Steppenwolf the punch. So different angles, you can see I do like this one. And then the third head sculpt, I didn't like it in the promo photos, but in person I think it looks slightly better. Now, I'm not sure if this is meant to be an aggressive face or when he's really upset when he knows that Lois Lane died. Of course, it was in the nightmare scene. And yeah, so I'm not sure if this is meant to be an angry face or actually when he's really sad that Darkseid kills Lois. So either way, I would say it's probably the weakest one out of all of them, as I wouldn't really know how to pose this look, but it's still a nice addition. And then the final hair sculpt, the fourth one, is probably the one I like the most, which of course we saw in that fight scene when he laser shoots down Steppenwolf. And I think this sculpt is almost perfect. It looks straight out of the movie. And of course in the original Justice League, Mafex Superman, we didn't get the laser eyes. So this is definitely a nice addition, and you can see that even the hairstyle is slightly different, and this is probably the one I would look forward to using the most. So yeah, really impressed by this one especially. The next accessory is to take a look at some of the interchangeable hands. So right out of this packaging we have some closed fists, and of course this can be used for different options, so for the flight poses or the punching looks. So they've given us a set of relaxed palms, which can be used for different poses as well, whether it's a talk or even for his flight poses. So it's really up to you. And the other set is the open palms, which again can be used for flight poses or kind of the relaxed look, depending on what kind of pose you want. So now let's quickly bring in the original Mafex Justice League Superman and put it side by side with the latest version. And you can see automatically, apart from the color suit, it is slightly different. The latest ZACK SNYDER'S Justice League version on the left is taller, and I think overall the sculpt is a bit bigger. And you can see even the head sculpt, it is an improvement from the skin tone, the sculpt, everything about it I would say is better than the original version. But of course that one has that classic colors, so it may sway you into picking that one up. But for me, I prefer the new one, the black suit Superman. And since I said I prefer the latest Zack Snyder's Justice League head sculpt, let's try some of the alternative ones on the original Justice League Superman. So let's remove the head sculpt. And then we're going to place some of the alternative heads. So let's try the sad face first. So it doesn't click on, but you can see it kind of sits on top. And then we have the slightly aggressive face. So the skin tone is slightly different, but I think it still kind of works. And then the final one, my favorite head sculpt. So does this improve the look of the original one? So maybe if you have both figures, you can use both of these head sculpts. So now for some size comparisons, starting off with some of the other previous Mafex releases of the Superman from the same universe. So on the left we have the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice version, and on the right of course is the original Justice League version. And next to other Supermans from different lines, on the left we have the Mezco 112 Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, and on the right is the SH Figuarts Justice League version. And here it is next to the other Mafex Justice League members, with Batman, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and finally Cyborg and the Flash. And here is the whole Zack Snyder's Justice League lineup. And here it is next to some McFarlane toys from the Zack Snyder's Justice League lineup, with the black suit Superman and the tactical suit Batman. And last but not least, next to the McFarlane toys Steppenwolf and Darkseid. So now for my final verdict of the Mafex Superman from Zack Snyder's Justice League lineup. And for me, this is an excellent addition to the already figures we have in the Mafex team, as it fits right into the collection if you want the most accurate look to the movie. It is an improvement in terms of the body, the sculpt, the size, and the face likeness. I think it was a better one than the original. And I really like the alternative head sculpts, all of them, from the flight poses, the angry look, the sad expression, and of course my favorite, the laser eyes. However, considering we already had a couple of the Mafex Superman figures before, they could have done something really extra in this one, like the physical laser beams or the super breath face and effect like we haven't seen before, and maybe even a mother box, although we did get some in the previous Justice League releases. And I know some collectors just want the original Henry Cavill Superman look rather than this version, so we needed something significant to really make this a big improvement. So overall I'm going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. It does everything well, but I feel it just lacks some accessories. So if Mezco ever released their version, it certainly could provide competition. If you like this review, please stay tuned, as I will hope to bring you more regarding the DC lineup. In the meantime, check out my other videos in the links in the description below. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.